Chapter 27. In that day the Lord with his sore and great and strong sword will punish Leviathan, the slant serpent, and Leviathan, the tortuous serpent, and he will slay the dragon that is in the sea. In that day sing you of her, a vineyard of foaming wine. I the Lord do guard it, I water it every moment, lest mine anger visit it. I guard it night and day. Fury is not in me. Would that I were as the briars and thorns and flame. I would with one step burn it altogether. Or else let him take hold of my strength, that he may make peace with me. Yes, let him make peace with me. In days to come shall Jacob take root, Israel shall blossom and bud, and the face of the world shall be filled with fruitage. Hath he smitten him as he smote those that smote him? Or is he slain according to the slaughter of them that were slain by him? In full measure, when you sendest her away, you dost contend with her. He hath removed her with his rough blast in the day of the east wind. Therefore by this shall the iniquity of Jacob be expiated, and this is all the fruit of taking away his sin, when he maketh all the stones of the altar as chalk stones that are beaten in pieces, so that the Asherim and the sun images shall rise no more. For the fortified city is solitary, a habitation abandoned and forsaken, like the wilderness. There shall the calf feed, and there shall he lie down, and consume the branches thereof. And when the boughs thereof are withered, they shall be broken off. The women shall come and set them on fire, for it is a people of no understanding. Therefore that he that made them will not have compassion upon them, and he that formed them will not be gracious unto them. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord will beat off his fruit from the flood of the river unto the brook of Egypt, and you shall be gathered one by one, O you children of Israel. And it shall come to pass in that day that a great horn shall be blown, and they shall come that were lost in the land of Assyria, and they that were dispersed into the land of Egypt, and they shall worship the Lord in the holy mountain of Jerusalem. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. Now, in the last chapter, yesterday, we found out that God is going to redeem Jacob. God is going to lift Jacob back up. And God is going to punish now all those that are in the earth, the inhabitants of the earth, and God, for their sins, for the sin that they have turned from the law of God, that they have worked wickedness even in the earth, and especially those who are leading those astray. They're going to bear this up because they are the ones who has caused this. And today we are dealing with this same subject, and it is in these days. This is a continuance of the last chapter. In these days, and in this understanding now, this is how God does do this. Verse 1, in that day the Lord with his sword, great and strong sword, will punish Leviathan the slant serpent, and Leviathan the tortuous serpent, and he will slay the dragon that is in the sea. And this Leviathan is being used as the similitude of this dragon, this slant serpent, this crooked serpent, this ones whose paths are crooked. They're not straight. They do not do that according to law. They have gone in error. They're liars. And this torturous serpent, even this one who is a piercing thing. He is become a slayer even in the midst of the earth. But God's going to punish him in the end of days, or the days near the end, to make known. God says, I'm going to make known this thing, because this serpent represents this one who goes on the ground. It's like a snake, goes on the ground, but this serpent represents the one who goes into the dust of the earth, or in the flesh of men, where men came from, this flesh, and he crawls on his belly there, or he does work in the ways that men work according to sin. 2. In that day sing you of her a vineyard of foaming wine. And this in what day? In the day when God punishes the serpent, this one he sent as a punishment, who did enjoy it too. This vineyard of foaming wine is this vineyard of fermenting wine. This causes the wine to foam. It sits there and it is fermenting, because that's what's happening, and they have made themselves drunk. 3. I, the Lord, do guard it. I water it every moment, lest my anger visit it, and I guard it night and day. And God does watch over it, lest he turn on it and destroy it immediately, because they are so wicked, and God has to watch over it night and day. 4. Fury is not in me. Would that I were as the briars and thorns in flame. I would with one step burn it altogether. This fury, God says, that is not in him. The fury is not in me. Why? Because if he was the fire and it was briars and thorns, in one step he would just burn it altogether and do away with it. But things ain't that simple, you see. We're going to find out these briars and thorns have come up in the garden, and there is a harvest in the midst of them, and it must be considered. 5. Or else let him take hold of my strength, that he may make peace with me. Yes, let him make peace with me. And this are these that have gone astray, these that do not follow the law of God, these that are consumed even in this destruction, even of the end time, that are being destroyed now. God has a destruction going on in the earth. He has set it there. It's a trap. It's a pit. It's a snare. And all are falling into it, because they all have gone astray from the law of God. 6. In the days to come shall Jacob take root. Israel shall blossom and bud, and the face of the world shall be filled with fruitage. And this is in days to come, when the truth is known, and we're going to find out what has to take place for this to happen. But in days to come, this will happen. Jacob will take root, and Israel will blossom, because the Lord, to this end, has declared these things. 7. Has he smitten him as he smote those that smote him? Or is he slain according to the slaughter of them that were slain by him? And this is a little hard to understand. But this him that we're talking about is this slant serpent even still, that he is slain, because he's slain him exactly how he was slain, even according to the method that he used. And this is how God caused it all to turn around, even on those evildoers, those ones who are leading the people astray, these ones who are selling the word of God, these ones who have committed adultery, these ones who raised up the idol, these ones who have the Asherim and do shadow the people. Even all these are a representation of this one. They go down to the pit. Why? Well, God has declared this. See, they have led the people astray, and God has led them astray. See, God set a trap and a snare. 8. In full measure, when you sendest her away, you do contend with her. He hath removed her with his rough blast in the day of the east wind. And this east wind is from where the sun comes up, this way of enlightenment. And this east wind represents this rough blast of heated wind even that comes in the end. This is the law of God coming through, and it's the truth coming through. And idolatry is going to be made known. And God did send her away, so to speak, his bride that he had prepared for himself. And And this is what we're talking about here. This contention, when you do contend with her, you send her away as punishment, is what God is doing. 9. Therefore by this shall the iniquity of Jacob be expiated, and this is all the fruit of taking away his sin, when he makes all the stones of the altar as chalk stones that are beaten in pieces, so that the Asherim and the sun images shall rise no more. And by this shall the iniquity of Jacob be covered over, expiated, done away with, covered over, abated. And this is all the fruit of taking away his sin. What is? See, God has punished now those ones who were punishing constantly. This one who was exacting upon the people. This one who was costing the people, never teaching the truth, never bringing to understanding the true law of God so society could correct itself. It basically would do them out of a job because they're making money off all the sins of the world. This was never the intention of God, but we'll see. This is what they've done. And they've raised them up an altar, and they've done all manners of evil in the world. But God's making an end of it, see. God's going to make an end of it. And this is how he covered over the sins of Jacob, see. And this is all the fruit of taking away his sin. This is how we're going to take away all Jacob's sin. When he makes the stones of the altar as chalk stones that are beaten in pieces, so that the Asherim and the sun images shall rise no more. And these Asherim are just simply these many altars that are in the earth. And these sun images, these idols of enlightenment, these ones that they say are so understanding and have so much knowledge, when God is all understanding, God is all knowledge. See, all your altars and all your Asherim, all your images, are going to be beaten into dust like chalk stones. This is how the sins are expiated and done away with. 10. For the fortified city is a solitary habitation, abandoned and forsaken, like the wilderness. There shall the calf feed, and there shall he lie down, and consume the branches thereof. In this fortified city, this city of the law, the city of the walls and bulwarks which God has made, the city of protection that God has made, it's a solitary city. It's one. See, there's one place that you can go, and it's abandoned, forsaken, like the wilderness is. Even this place where the words drive out, it's been abandoned and forsaken. And here's where the calf feeds. This is where the sacrifice feeds. This is what the calf stands for here, this young bullock, the sacrifice even. And there shall he lie down and consume the branches thereof, like it's a forest, like it's a wilderness. And he eats all the lower branches, see, and this is what we're talking about. And once he's eaten all the lower branches, see, 11, when the boughs thereof are withered, they shall be broken off. The women shall come and set them on fire, for it is people of no understanding. Therefore he that made them will not have compassion upon them, and he that formed them will not be gracious unto them. And these branches that break and wither off are these ones where the fruit's been stripped bare, the leaves are all gone, and the branches have died and withered, and they must be broken off, and they will be burned and cast into the fire. And these women here are these teachings of men that are basically gathering them up, and they're casting them on the fire. They have no understanding, so to speak. And basically what this is they don't know what they're burning. They have no understanding. And God does not have compassion on them. Why? For they have forsook the Lord their God. God has given them for this reason. Just like when the two children of Aaron, the two sons of Aaron, offered for strange incense. Their scepters became a hallowed thing unto God. See, this is just the same thing. They become a hallowed thing. God has set them aside for this purpose even. 12. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord will beat off his fruit from the flood of the river unto the brook of Egypt, and it shall be gathered one by one, O you children of Israel, one by one, gathered one by one. And in this day, come to pass in this day, when the truth goes forth, and the understanding is received, and they return to the law of God. See, this is God beating off his fruit. One, he's breaking off the false understanding that has been in all the earth for so long, restoring understanding, making himself known through a great act, a marvelous act even. And this flood of the river unto the brook of Egypt, this is the flowing now. This is the flowing waters. This is the flowing stream. This is the rushing gorge of water out of Egypt, this land of enclosures. This represents these waters that come out of even darkness, out of this land of enclosures. God's going to bring you from there once again. See, God brought you up out of Egypt. We're going to find that God is going to restore through this great, marvelous act that he's done. He has made a witness. He has made a sign for all of us to have understanding. 13. And it shall come to pass in that day that a great horn shall be blown. And they shall come that were lost in the land of Assyria, and they that were dispersed in the land of Egypt, and they shall worship the Lord in the holy mountain of Jerusalem, in this place of peaceful teachings. This place of the teachings of peace that even are from old where they taught the law. And it shall come to pass in that day that a great horn shall be blown. This great horn is this great warning even of the end time. God's coming. God's coming in wrath. God's coming in fury. All the earth has gone astray, and they've made themselves known. And this is that horn in the end of its blowing. And all those that are lost in the land of Assyria, this land of the Asher, this land of progress, this land of the step up, the step forward, this little altar they've made there even those that are dispersed in all the land of Egypt, these land of enclosures, where the mouths of men have made walls around them, these little written words of enclosures even, that have them trapped there in their understanding. All God's children, though, are going to come up out of here. God is going to restore the law even, and the sins are going to be made known. All right, we're going to move on to chapter 28.